It is visible.
Visible, right? Okay, so okay. Okay, so Shivang, I'll like you to just start
Yeah,
with.
just a sec. Okay, guys, so here we are, and I'll try to share with Darshil some of the insights that I had while applying with you. So, over to the next slide, Darshil.
Yeah.
So, first of all, you should note that uh, we have two tracks for going to higher studies. One is PhD track and one is MS track. And both of us are, of course, going for MS. And applying to PhDs is much more uh, tedious than applying for MS, that I should tell you. And we will be focusing mainly on the procedures on how to apply for MS, right?
Yeah, here
So,
I want to just clear one more thing that after your bachelor's degree, you can also directly go for PhD. There is option, means like it's not necessary to go for first go for MS and then go for PhD. It's now not a track, but you can directly go for PhD. I will clear you the thing that why opt for MS and why opt for PhD in the next slides, but you must clear this thing that there is no any foundation that you must have to go through MS and then have to go to PhD. Yes,
yeah,
yes.
right, Darshil. Uh, and okay, so why do people apply for higher studies? So there are mainly two motivations. First is that they want to be associated in academia and they want to pursue research on their field of interest. Or sometimes people want to pursue higher studies so that they can increase their prospects of getting better jobs in US and abroad.
Yeah, so
So,
many people do it after gaining experience of through 3 to 4 years, might be from for more years than that, and some people like us just go directly by after doing our masters, after doing our bachelors for masters.
but I would
So
like to add something that if you want to continue in academia and are strictly interested in pursuing research, then I suggest that you should not go for job and you should directly apply for MS or PhD, whichever suits you. But if your aim is to land a high-paying job, then I guess you can go for a job to get some industrial experience.
yeah, generally in MBA, people prefer to work for 1 or 2 years and then go for MBA because in MBA colleges they ask for experience, but it is not in case for MS. You know, MS is like you if you have good academics and you have good research background, then you can directly go for MS after with the funding with a fully funded MS after just your bachelor's degree. So there is quite difference between going for MBA and going for MS. That is of experience. You know, MBA more seeks for experience. MS don't seek for experience.
So I guess we can go to the next slide.
Yeah.
So, the fundamental question that is motivated from the previous slide is that what is the difference between an MS and a PhD, and which one would be better for you? So, I would first like to clarify the differences. So, the MS is mostly coursework based and it also has a research component. But on the other hand, PhD is mostly research based, although it has some coursework component also, but uh, it has negligible value, to be honest. So if you want to learn something and you are not sure enough what you want to pursue in future, I mean what subfield in your field of interest you want to pursue, if you're not sure, then you should go for an MS so that you can get more opportunities to explore your field. And if you have explored enough and you are quite confident about what you want to do in future and you have a rough picture of what you want to be doing in like next 10 years, then I guess you can go for PhD. And for MS, although it's not a rule, but it has been mostly seen that you require a publication at least. On the contrary, in MS, a good research experience should be enough. Publications are not necessary. Actually, in PhD, you have to convince your supervisor that you would be able to finish the PhD. You have to convince him of your abilities. So they require previous research experience, at least to the level of publications. And yeah, there is one downside to MS also, that in most cases there is no opportunity of funding. But on the contrary, in PhD, you will almost 90% of the times get funded. In fact, fully funded. You can even save in some countries. Like some people were
Yeah, but I'll
telling me
just
that in
clarify
Netherlands you
this
can
thing.
save up to.
We'll clarify this thing again in the upcoming slides. That PhD is mostly funded in most of the countries, but MS is funded in some countries. But in that some countries also, it is not like every MS student is funded. Very less seats are there which got funded. We'll tell you which seats are funded and everything about this funding scenario also. But here you must understand about the key differences between MS and PhD. If PhD is like very crystal clear thing that you have to go through 4 to 5 years of like extensive research work in particular area, and in MS you will do a research work, but you will also explore your academics, means like you'll also explore the subject you are in. Okay, so after MS you might think that okay, this is not for me, so I must go for a PhD in some other area, so this is like the difference between MS and PhD. I hope you understand. So yeah, yes, Shivang, you can just
And
continue.
I should also add that doing a PhD is a very big thing for a researcher, because in most of your research throughout your life revolves around your PhD topics only. So you should be very careful, and you should really know what you want to do in future. Otherwise, it can be a mess if you just apply to a PhD without any planning. So I guess we
Yeah,
can
it is.
move on.
It's like it will be quite mess because 5 years of extensive research, and then you will have to work in that area only because you have given five, important crucial years to your PhD, PhD topic. So yeah, I understand this thing. So should I move to the next slide,
Yeah, yeah,
Shivam?
yeah, sure. So, so we will be focusing on on how to apply for MS only. PhD, applying for PhDs is much more hellish, and it is like 100 times more work. You have to look for every group, and you have to contact their PhDs, postdocs, etc. But applying to MS is much more simpler, and we will just stick to that only. So
Yeah,
the first step to applying for MS is, of course, choosing the universities to which you want to apply, right? Uh, so, so I suggest a two-step strategy for that. So first of all, you should uh, go through the web pages of uh, some universities, and you should make a list of around 30 to 40 universities to which you want to apply. So now, which universities you want to apply, how to filter those? So I suggest you that you use these three filters. So first of all, you should focus, the prime focus of your search should be on the top institutions of research in your field. So they must be a real aim, actually. Even if their QS ranks are low, even if they are not in a so good country, even then you should pursue those institutes which are good in your research field, right? Then you can also use QS ranks as a selection criteria, because it has generally been observed that uh, those universities which have higher QS ranks are like good in almost all research areas. So you can also use this, but this A should be your top priority. And then you can also filter according to country. according to your financial constraints. For example, in some countries uh, you have low cost of living, and in some other countries you have higher cost of living. For example, in Germany, if you try to pursue masters in Germany, you will be charged almost nothing as tuition fee, because in Germany uh, you are entitled to free education, so you just have to bear the cost of living. While if you want to go for masters in some country like Netherlands, then you will have to also pay a very hefty tuition fee. uh, Darshil, I guess you stopped sharing. I
Yes.
cannot see the slides anymore. Hello. Okay, I guess Darshil left the meeting. Then I guess I should share the slides.
Yes.
Okay, just for a minute.
Sorry, guys.
Since
There
it
was
is
some issue on my end. Uh, Shivang, are you here?
Oh yeah, you are back, Darshil.
Oh, I guess there is some issue. I'll just take a minute, just a second.
Yeah, sure. Darshil, shall I share the presentation?
I guess am I audible now?
Yeah, you are audible.
Yes, I guess I'm in. There was some network issue on my end. Just a second. Just a second. Sorry for the distance, guys. Entire screen. Just okay. So we were.
Cool.
So yes.
Yeah. So I was just telling that in some countries you can get off with a lot less money than some other countries. For example, you can uh, get done with a master's in Germany at half the cost that you will have to afford in Netherlands. So that can also be a filtering criteria for universities. But I suggest that this top institutions of research in your field, that should be your prime focus. And then from this list of 30 to 40 universities, you should actually try to filter around 10 to 12 universities at max, because we have seen that it is very difficult to apply to a lot of universities. So I guess 10 to 12 should be enough. You will have sufficient probability of getting into at least some good program. So for filtering these 10 to 12 universities from this larger list, I suggest these three criteria. So first of all, you should look at the course structure that is being offered at that university, and you should really look if the course structure is in the direction of your future field of research, and if it will be instructive for you, and if it will be beneficial for your future, because it's like useless to take unrelated courses if you have to go in A field, and if you are taking courses from B field, then there is like no point. And then you should be looking at the research groups at that university, and that is also a very big criteria for selecting some university. Like if you want to work under some particular person, and if he agrees to it, already, then I guess your chances of being selected in MS with a funding are are higher than others. So you should also look at the research groups at the university and how good they are. And finally, the most important criteria without which you cannot go for an MS is the availability and the probability of getting funded. So, like, I know people who got selected for MS and they have the award letter in their hands, but they can't go for MS because they are not getting funded. So, financial constraints should be the first thing in your mind while you think of getting for MS. So if you have no such funding constraint and if your parents can afford it, then you can just overlook the funding thing and you should just focus on course structure and research groups. And if you are pursuing a theoretical field of research, like I am pursuing theoretical physics, so it is more course structure oriented. I have to first learn things. So the my most important concern while selecting a university was what courses are they offering. But if you are pursuing a more experimental field of research, like let's say something related to optics or something related to like engineering, of course, most of your engineers. So then you should be looking at the research groups which are there. That should be your prime focus.
Yeah, so
And I
summing up this, yeah, is yes, sir, yes, you can just continue. Yes.
Yeah, I was just about to say that you should be done with this list by the like by July of your final year, like before the starting of your final year, you should be done with these list things.
Okay, so summing up this slide, I guess everything is being told by Shivang, but he told, I'll just sum up this slide for you guys because it is quite important. He told everything about, filtering this thing. You have to just initially, uh, see 40 universities, and then you have to filter out 10 to 12 universities. I have one good, in QS, as he told that you can filter out things by QS ranking, also by top research in your field. So what I suggest you is there is also a, option in QS ranking side that you can just go for high ranking for in your field. Means like if you go there and select that, okay, this is mining is your field, or suppose environmental physics or anything, environment is your field. Then if you select that thing, then it will list you top 100 university or top 50 universities in your field. Okay, so it is very clear to you now that okay, these are top 50 universities in my field. So what I did, like what it is did is I just went there and just wrote mining there, and I got like 50 list of 50 universities, and that were my aim. Okay, so I have to see these university, I have to see the courses there, and then I have to select 12 out of, or 12 or 10 out of them, and then I have to apply in them. Okay, I'll tell you more things. For the slides, will be covering more things, but that you have to do in between these steps. But this is what you can do for selecting these 10 to 12 universities in which you are going to apply, that are quite comfortable for you. Okay, so this is how you can filter out 12 universities. Just go on QS ranking and then just get 50 list of 50 universities, top 50 universities, and then just go and search out and filter out 10 to 12 universities.
But
I guess it's
I
all.
should also add something here
Yeah.
that you should not only just focus on QS rankings because I've seen that mostly what happens is people just focus on QS rankings and they just look at the universities that are in 1 to 100, while actually from my experience it is like in Germany, uh, if you look at the universities for theoretical physics, you will hardly find two or three universities, like around four or five universities in top 100. But there are many more universities which have good departments of theoretical physics, but they have lower overall QS rankings. So you should be actually looking at the universities which are good in your field of research. That should be your prime concern. But yeah, QS
Yeah, but
ranking
yeah,
is all.
yeah, same thing. To just clear this thing again on from my end, from mining end, it is like I am also going into the University of Alaska Fairbanks. I got selected. I got admit card from the university I did intern in. It is named the University of Western Australia. It is in Perth. So Western Australia, it is ranked three in at that time it was ranked three in at that time it was ranked three in that school. I'm not going to that school as because I'm not getting funding from that school. I'm just getting scholarship of 20 to 30%, which is still not good for me. And here in the University of Alaska Fairbanks, I am also getting good research area that is that I really want to work in, and also that is in that I really want to work in. And also on the top of that, I'm getting a funding. That is why I selected this over that. So it's like my personal personal thing that I selected.
Darshil, I guess your
So
voice
this
is
is how
breaking
things
up.
works. I have I have applied in all the universities, but university I want to go. So I have selected there. That is why.
I guess you
Yes, Shivang,
can
should I go
then
next slide?
yeah,
Shivang?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Um, I don't know if the problem is at my end, but I can see the next slide. Someone
I
please
flipped on the
confirm.
next see the primary factors of application considered by universities.
No, sir, we are able to see how to choose which universities to apply for.
Darshil, it hasn't changed.
I've changed. I don't know. I changed from my end. Is it now?
Okay, I'll present.
Okay, okay. I'll just
All
stop it.
right,
Just a second.
that would be good. Okay, so are the slides visible?
Yes, yes, yes. You can just
Yes,
go
sir.
on. Yeah, all good.
Can you see the next slide?
Yeah, primary factors of
Yeah.
application considered by university. Yeah.
So, so now we should actually be focusing on what actually universities look for in your application. So, first of all, the game changer where you can actually nail or break your application is the SOP. So, a good SOP can get a 7 pointer selected in a good program, and a bad SOP can get a 10 pointer rejected. All right, so SOP is actually the most important component for your application. And then there is GPA, which is still important, but not so important. And then the main thing that they look at is your research experience. In fact, your prior research experience. It could be in your field of research or it couldn't be, but you should have some research experience. I suggest at least two projects that you should have because you also have to write an SOP about those. So you should at least have two projects. You can, and then there are letters of recommendation, which I will be abbreviating as LORs. So letters of recommendations are actually written by our professors, and in some cases you know what they are writing, and in some cases you don't have an idea at all what they are writing about you. So these actually depend on how well you know the professors, and these are also very important for your applications. And if your LOR is coming from a very reputed person, then you have very high chances of selection at a good place. I suggest that you should at least try to maintain your GPA around 8.5 or above uh, to get selected at a good
Yeah.
place. And even if it is low, it's fine. We will tell you what to do if it's low. But we suggest that you should aim for at least 8.5 or higher.
There is no
And
eligibility criteria, but if you have good GPA, it's good chances that you will be selected.
yeah, and then you should at least have two research projects, as I said, because they demand research experience, at least in theoretical physics, that's how it is. I don't know about computer
Yeah,
science and
yeah,
all.
yeah. You have to write something in SOP, so you have to have some research projects.
And then LORs, you should have 2 to 3 LORs depending on the universities. Some very few universities actually ask for 3, but you should actually be ready with a third LOR if it's required. And you should already yeah. So some pro tips for LORs: you should avoid taking LORs from just some prof that taught you a course and you got an A in his course. No, please don't do that because they will be giving you a very average kind of LOR. So you should be taking LORs from people who know you actually well and you have performed some research project or uh, has mentored you in something. You should actually be knowing the professor well. That's the crux of it. So don't ask LORs from random professors. And yeah, yeah, you can also take some
Me
non-academic
phones,
LORs
daddy
like
phone
from your
నుంచి
employers if
తాతయ్య.
you have interned in a company. I guess they can also provide you LORs, but I guess one or two LORs should be at least from someone who is from academia. Um, Darshil, would you like to add something?
Yeah, in this LOR thing, in my case, I had three LORs. The first LOR was from the professor from Australia where I did intern, and in that LOR, I didn't know what he wrote, and he directly sent that LOR to my university. So this is the first kind of LOR you get. So this is because I worked under him for 3 months, and he wrote, and it is like confidential. LOR is like a confidential thing. That is why professor don't tell you what they wrote in their LOR. The second kind of LOR that I got from the department and from ISM, it is that I just went to my mentor to in my department. He told me that okay, I'll give you LOR, no issue, just write it on your own and just send it to me. सो आई रोट माई LOR ऑन माई ओन, यू नो, खुद की तारीफ खुद करी है उस एक पे, इन 2 पैराग्राफ्स, एंड देन आई सेंड दैट थिंग टू माई प्रोफेसर, और प्रोफेसर ने सिर्फ कॉपी पेस्ट करके और आगे भेज दिया है. So this is the thing that goes in department, and it really varies from person to person and professor to professor. So if you are, you know, in going to a professor, then you just ask for LOR, then he'll tell you that how you have to get that LOR. So these are the this is the second kind of LOR that I got, and the third LOR that I got was from again from the professor that I know, and he was the alumni of my university. So I thought that I must take a LOR from him, and in that LOR, as because I don't knew him very well, so what I wrote in that LOR was about my extracurriculars and other things than academics. So I tried to cover everything in all three LORs about my personality. So this is how it helped me, and this is how you can get LOR from ISM or from any other institution if you have worked in, or from an intern, any any association or any company you have worked in. So I guess this is all for this
I
side from
would
my end.
also like to add something that you should ask for LORs before the application period from professors. You shouldn't be going rushing a day before to the professor that I need an LOR. They might just say no. You should be like asking them about LORs well before the application period, around November or something, and you should send mails. And if they agree to write a good LOR, then you should send them a mail around 7 to 10 days before the actual deadline,
That is
or
really very
whatever they
important.
prefer.
This thing is really very important, because if you go to professor and say them, okay, I need LOR just next day, then it will not be
Yeah,
good for you also. So just give them time. Just go at least a week before, at least. But yeah, this, you must keep this thing in mind,
the
that you must
earlier the
wait
better,
for
I
LOR.
say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I guess we can move to the next slide.
Yes, yes, yes. For the next day, yeah. I request you all to, if you have any doubts or anything, you just write it down and we'll take all the doubts from you at the end of this slide. No issue.
Yeah.
Shivang, you can just go on the next slide.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I'm presenting. Right.
Yeah.
So, as I said, the SOP is the most important component of your application, and that's actually the game changer. And now I'm going to tell you how I write an SOP.
You must understand this thing, that you are not going to that professor or that, a committee which is selecting you. That SOP is your virtual representation there. So it is like everything, and each and everything about you that you must want to present. So SOP is like everything that you want to tell them. It is like a story. So I think Shivang is the best man to tell you this thing. So yes, Shivang, yes, go on, because
So,
I took a lot of advice from him in making my SOP. His SOP was too good, too good.
no, no, in fact, your SOP was also good, and
Yeah.
he also suggested me some nice points on my SOP. So actually, the SOP is nothing but your scientific story, how you got interested into something and how you tried to pursue it, what all difficulties were that you encountered in that journey of your research, and how you overcame them, and how you actually became interested finally in applying to that university. So all that, and if you have any extra dimensions to your personality, like if you can do some extracurriculars or something, you can also write those in SOP. So as Darshil said, it's everything that you want the admissions committee to know about you. So as I said, SOP can get a 7 pointer selected and a 10 pointer rejected. It's the most important part of your application. So how to write a killer SOP? You don't have to kill the admissions committee. Uh, so first of all, you should brainstorm a bit and come up with a list of points that you want the admissions committee to know, and which are really the selling person points about you, and you think that it will flatter the committee. So you should first of all prepare a list of those points, and then you can start the. What I do is I start the SOPs with a little bit of personal touch, and I add a story about how how I got interested in theoretical physics, and then it shouldn't be a big story. It should be a very little story or a kind of experience. Like if you want me to share, I can share this. Like it's from a very good SOP that I read. So he was going to pursue a research in photonics. So he told that he started his SOP like this, that when I was a kid, I saw my grandfather getting a
Yeah.
cataract surgery, and for that cataract surgery, they had to replace his lens, I guess. So he was quite scared. He said that I was quite scared because they are going to replace the lens of his grandfather. But then the doctor told him that no, we are not going to do anything like this. You can easily do it with a laser, and that's how he was. That's that was his first amazing introduction to the field of photonics, and then he went on to describe how he got interested
Yeah,
in
I've
photonics
also
and
seen
everything.
SOP from my end that stating that okay, I saw mining in in my very early years, and I went there and I was very fascinated with mining, and then so they start. I saw SOP is like starting your journey from very beginning. If when you were a kid and how you got fascinated about this subject and why you want to you pursue this subject as your academics and want to research in it. So SOP is like everything. I've also started this my SOP by stating that I got touch in mining from my very early years, as because there are so many mining mines is in my city. So this is how SOP gets started and gets built up. It's like a story, a very sweet story, smooth story.
But I should also tell you that you shouldn't be doing this story part, the kiddish story part a lot. You should just end it in less than a paragraph, all right? So, because you don't want to bore the committee with it.
Yeah.
And then you should proceed, and then I proceed in my SOP to how I ended up in IIT Dhanbad, like all that stuff I appeared for JE and got this rank and chose this, that. And then that's where your actual SOP begins, and then you are well into your story, and now you can get started with what actually interested you in your undergrad years, and how you became interested in a particular research field, and how you started pursuing it, and if you did some research project under someone, then you should also mention the details of it, that like it shouldn't be too detailed, it should be just enough detail that a person who has a very basic knowledge about your uh, like field should be able to grasp what you did, and it shouldn't contain a lot of technical terms and all. No, that's a very big no. uh, so thereafter you should give some reasons to the university in a, so this is the second lesson. So after your research story, like how you got interested in something, how you pursued something, and then you saw something in that and it made you interested in something else, then you pursued it. Uh, so after all that story, you should be concluding the SOP in two paragraphs. So first of those is where you give reasons to the university why you are the best suited candidate for that university. So for example, you can tell them that I pursued research under this, and I got to do a lot of numerical simulations, and that honed my numerical skills, and like you can flaunt your programming skills, maybe if you know MATLAB or Python or something, or you can just say that I did a lot of uh, courses and which were advanced if you actually took those, and yeah, something like that. You should actually be telling them the glowing points about you, that why should they select you in this paragraph. And finally you should conclude your SOP by mentioning why you want to pursue MS in that particular university. Like there are uh, some points about every university that you like, that's why you are going to pursue it, so you should be mentioning those here. Like uh, like in my case it was like I liked some particular course in a university, so I mentioned that I want to study this course and it's very related to my research area. So I think that would be a very good thing if I can come to your university and pursue masters and take this course. Or if you are in touch with some professor and he has agreed to guide you, then you can also mention that in this paragraph, that I want to pursue research under doctor this, yeah, professor this, and he has already agreed to guide me and encourage me to apply for this master's program. And yeah, just conclude it that
I think we have to go fast as because we are running out
yeah,
of time. So I'll just speed up this thing and I'll just tell you that this SOP thing is like everything. So you have to make this whole story. Don't think about anything. Just write your own content. Okay, just sit on a laptop and just make your own file. Okay, so you just write. Suppose your content is gone more than 300, 3,000 words or quite big, and then you start cutting off the things. You start cutting off the thing and making it good, making it better, making it best. So it is not like 3 day process. It is at least a month process of making a SOP. So SOP is not a weak process. It is very. I'm clearing you this thing because I too had that doubt that got cleared by Shivang that it is quite big process and you need to understand that this is everything that you are presenting there about you. So just give time. It takes about 1 month for an average guy to make an SOP. So give that time and just write everything starting from your childhood if you want to mention that thing till your research areas and everything that you did till now in your academics. That makes sense. Okay, so you are just pursuing the committee that you are eligible personality to get this seat and to get, you know, you to get this funding or anything that you are applying to. So I think this is all for SOP, I guess. If you want to add, Shivang.
I guess also a very pro tip for writing SOPs that some of the best SOPs that I have read have a very well connected story. So like they don't just start blattering something. The so it's like they have finished something in the previous paragraph, like they worked on something, some X field, and in X field they encountered some Y problems, and then they started reading about those Y problems and how to solve them, and then they read about a Z field which solves those problems. So now in the next paragraph he's telling that uh, how he wanted to pursue this Z field and how he actually worked on it. So it should be like a story. It shouldn't be like you just
So
start
every
saying
paragraph must
something
be like
and then
connected and it
in
is
next
like a
paragraph
smooth
you should,
story. Yes, I understand.
yeah, it should be
Yes,
smooth,
yes,
right?
yes.
And
It is like a story, as Shivang said, that it is like really a story that someone is reading, and that story is about you, and you are only the author of that story. So you have to make your own story very smooth, that the person who is reading it feels very comfortable, and after reading that story, he knows everything. He or she knows everything about you.
and
So this
then
is all
I
about, I guess, SOP.
then
Yes.
as Darshil said that in the initial draft of SOP you shouldn't be worrying about the word limit. You should just write whatever comes to your mind, and even if it's 1,000 or 3,000 words long, it doesn't matter. Then you start cutting off the content that you think is repetitive or you think is unimportant, and reduce it to the word limit. I suggest that before the application period you get three versions of your SOP, one with 1,500 words, one with 1,000 words, and if required 600 words. It's required in Oxford if anyone is applying. But 600 words is too short. It's not required mostly. And I think, yeah, and one more thing that you should start preparing SOP at least a month before. At least. The
Yeah,
earlier
it is
the
very
better, but
important.
at
It is
least a
very
month
important. You
before.
must understand this thing. You start preparing SOP 1 month before.
And then, okay. So, yeah, as I told you, you should maintain your GPA at more than 8.5. But even if it's less, then it's okay. You can still go for an MS. But you have to counter it by excelling in something else. You have to balance your application, right? If you are weak in something, then you should excel at something else. So, like, you can tell them that, like, I opted for some really advanced courses which are of PhD level, and that's why I learned a lot, but in the process, I ended up getting low grades. So they will understand that you
Yeah,
were
you
very
must have to do
curious and
something
trying
to
to take advantage.
overlap this gap. You have to need some. You need to have something to just fill this hole that you got less GPA. But why you got less GPA? You must be working on some other things, right?
Although
You
you
must
shouldn't
might have.
directly tell them why I got less GPA, you
Yeah,
should
directly tell them, okay,
you
that
should be
I was
implying
doing
that.
these other stuff, I was engaged in other activities. It could be curricular, anything. I did so many lot of academic things. I did lot of projects, so many projects. You have some, great things that will be reflected in your SOP, that will be reflected in your LOR, that will be reflected everywhere around. That okay, this man has low GPA, but he is not a bad man. He is a good man.
Yeah. So, and then you can also tell them, yeah, and then you should aim for publications. If you have low GPA, then for you, publications are a must. Or even if you can get something published, you should at least try to attend some conferences or some workshops that will like balance out your
Yeah,
uh,
that will boost your SOP and also your CV.
yes. Uh, so then the admissions committee might be able to overlook your GPA. And then the final and the most important point is write a killer SOP that can get you selected even if you have a low GPA. And then,
Yeah.
so, okay. So there are some qualifying requirements that every university require. Although they don't matter much to the admissions committee, but they just require you to qualify these conditions. So there are some exams known as TOEFL, IELTS, and GRE that you might be familiar with. And some universities require you to give GRE and some not. But these two, TOEFL and IELTS, all universities will require you to give at least one of them and submit them the score. So I'll be telling you about the TOEFL part, and Darshil will be telling you about the GRE.
Yeah.
So TOEFL is just a English test, and I gave TOEFL, so I am much more suited to tell you things about TOEFL. And you can ask someone else who gave IELTS about their experience. So it's mainly a qualifying parameter. We just want to know that you can speak a good enough English, that you can at least communicate your thing. That's all we require, and that's why we want you to give TOEFL. And there is a cutoff that is decided and that is declared by every university. So you should be looking at those cutoffs, and then in your list you should be looking at the cutoffs at of the universities, and you should uh, decide that this is the maximum score that I need before before giving TOEFL. I guess 80 or 85 is a sufficient score. You should aim for at least 85.
Yes, most of the universities have approx 80 cutoff. The exam TOEFL is of about 120 marks, and 80 cutoff. It is quite easy to go about this cutoff, but there are also particular. There are four sections in it: reading, writing, speaking, and listening. So every particular part also have some cutoffs. Every university have that. So you must consider those things before giving this TOEFL exam, so that you can just qualify that thing. Shivang, Shivang, any problem on my end, or it's
No, sir. I think sir has an internet problem. Sir has left the meeting.
okay? So no issue. I'll just share you this thing. I'll just continue yes, because time is running out. I'll just share this thing just a second. And so we are just about to end this thing. No, just try to sum up everything. So are you able to see my presentation?
Yes, sir. We can
Okay,
see.
so we were at this slide. So TOEFL, we have four sections as I have told you. It is normal English speaking and listening test. It is not very hard, and they have approximately same fees, about $213. they have same fees about 15,000 INR. So GRE on the other hand is quite difficult for us, as because it asks, GRE exam asks for vocab, and really hard vocab that you have to learn. You have to learn 1,000 new words, at least 1,000 new words on your end to sit for GRE and to score good. And these 1,000 words are really out of our box. These are the words that you have not heard of about, so you have to know them. And I'll tell you about the resources that you have to go through. So you just go through those resources and get your GRE preparation done. So these are the examinations that you give before, you know that that these scores will be in your CV, and then you will be able to apply to universities, some universities, because every university have their GRE cutoff and also TOEFL cutoff. Okay, I guess everything is just clear. At this end, I also want to clear one more thing, that GRE is examination that whose score is just, its score is not valid in all the countries. GRE score, there are only few countries that need GRE score. It is a very big, big confusion in among the students, that GRE is needed to go abroad, GRE is needed to go abroad. It is not like that. I have applied to Australia. I have applied to other countries. Shivang has applied to Germany and Europe. They all don't need GRE. Only Canada and America ask for GRE scores. So GRE is only needed for American universities and Canadian universities. Other than that, I guess TOEFL is enough for all the universities. So for this, again, I just suggest you to just go to the university requirement and just see that GRE is required or not. But TOEFL is required to everyone, because it is like minimum English speaking criteria, writing and listening criteria. So you have to have TOEFL. IELTS is like the same platform, but I suggest you to go for TOEFL because it is quite comfortable. You can give it from your own computer at home. So TOEFL, for this slide, I guess it is up. Shivang, are you here?
Yeah.
Yes, Shivang, you
I
are here,
got
right?
disconnected. So what was
Yeah, no issue. I told them everything
telling?
about, cause everything
Yeah,
about this TOEFL and GRE, I guess. So I think we can go on to the next slide, as because we are running out of
yeah,
time
sure.
also. These people also have to go somewhere or might have to need some questions.
Yeah,
I'll go
sure.
to the next. Yes, TOEFL resources. Yes, Shivang, I'll just request you to just sum
Uh,
up everything quite quickly.
yeah. So how to prepare for TOEFL? So this TOEFL resources channel on YouTube has some very great videos on what you should be answering to which questions, and I think you should seriously stick to these videos. And
Yeah, I
this guy
myself
is
and
actually
Shivang
trained
both
by
have prepared
TOEFL
from
for,
this channel only.
yeah, and I guess we got good score.
Yeah, Shivang, I request you to just tell your score. Mine is not that good, but yours is quite good.
So I got 111 out of 120. So I strictly followed the advices given by this person, this TOEFL resources guy. He is just awesome. You should just consider his words as God's words for TOEFL. Then another thing, you can download practice softwares from this link. So
We will share
gives
these
a
slides
brief
to you
idea
guys,
about
so
what
you will
to do.
get these all things. No issue.
Yeah, you will get these links, and then you can just search for TOEFL speaking questions or TOEFL writing questions. There are a lot of videos on YouTube that will give you some sample questions or some past year questions, and uh, then you can practice reading and listening passages from this practice software that I just mentioned. But the trickiest sections of TOEFL are speaking and writing. So for speaking, actually, I suggest that follow the advices of TOEFL resources and practice a bit. So while practicing, you should record what you are speaking and then listen to it and judge yourself that do you think this is at a sufficient level, and then note down the places where you think you can improve and
Yeah,
to
this is the best way
avoid
to
your
improve
mistakes
on the
next
speaking
time.
section. Say listening section is not big deal. Writing section, again, I'll suggest you to just go for a bit practice, because you are not, practiced for writing those essays or anything. So I just suggest you to go through these TOEFL resources and just practice writing also.
Yeah, so for writing, you can improve in very little time, but you should practice a bit. And then
Yeah.
you should also revise a bit of grammar. Although they will overlook your mistakes, your grammatical mistakes basically, unless you're doing a very big blunder. So, for example, if you are saying he instead of she or they instead of it, then they are not going to overlook it. But if you have some very advanced level mistakes, for example, like you are using a present perfect tense and like have, had, has, you are using and you are
Yeah, big
a bit
grammatical mistakes are
mistaken,
seen. Other than that,
then
there
they
is
are
not.
just going to overlook it. Don't
Yeah,
worry
yeah, yeah.
about that much, but you shouldn't be doing any blunders. All right. And for TOEFL, I suggest that if you are at an average level like us, then you should start preparing at least 1 week before. At
Yeah,
least
but
one
you
week
need to
before.
be serious in that 1 week also. Be serious.
Yeah.
Just just make at least give 1 2 mocks, or 3 4 mocks, and practice writing and speaking and listening. All the sections I'll suggest. I'll go with the next slide. Prepare for GRE. I personally suggest you to go for, as you have told you earlier, that you have to learn thousand, at least 1,000 new words, new vocabularies. So you have to go with some of the flashcard apps. In these apps, they easily tell you these are the new words, and then in the set of 50 words, they try to make you learn these new words. So there is a good app which I'll suggest you, which is Magoosh app. Also, you can go for Magoosh GRE online preparation course. Other than that, we have online platforms, Manhattan, Magoosh, as I've told you, Kaplan, and ATS official site. They have a lot of resources there. You can go through them. And the path that I suggest you for preparing for GRE is, just before anything you start, just give a mock test that is free on ETS website. Okay, so after you give this mock test, you will understand that okay, these are the sections, and this is where I am weak, and this is the weak section where I have to prepare more. Okay, so you get the weak section, and then you'll be judging more good, that okay, so after the mock, I'll suggest you to just go and download this Magoosh app and start learning 50 words daily. You have to cross the limit of 1,000 words, so you have to learn 50 words daily. So start learning those 50 words. It will take intense 1 month training, 1 month preparation to give GRE. If you want to score good, it will need 1 month, clear cut practice. Okay, so okay, start preparing. Follow the online Magoosh. This online GRE preparation material is also available for free. There are so many sites that are giving this material for free, so don't take any. There is no issue for paying anything. So if you want to pay, then it's good, no issue. But if you don't want to pay, then you can also get that free. Okay, you can go and search it on Telegram, and also on some other platforms, and also on Google. You can get these materials for free. Okay, and it is like very cheap, so no issue for that. That you can also take that Magoosh
Okay.
online preparation course, or Manhattan on Kaplan. All of these are good, but I personally took Magoosh. And I also suggest you to give 10 to 8 to 10 mock tests before sitting in GRE examination. There are also some books named Bannon and also of Manhattan that helps you to prepare for GRE. And also there are two books of ETS official ETS official books that is there for GRE preparation. So these are all the things that you can do for GRE preparation. I think if you follow these things, you'll easily get 320, more than 320 out of 330 or 340. So it is like good. About 300 for core branches. I will suggest that 310, about 310 is okay, but 320, about 320, getting score about 320 is really good. So I'll suggest you to go about 320. Just try to go about 320. And this deadlines for application, as I've applied to Australia, USA, and Canada, I know the deadlines of these these countries. It is like December to March. They varies. Okay, some university have deadlines in January, some universities have deadline in February, January, February, March, April. So there it varies, but no universities have deadlines before December. So from December you can start, start seeing these dates. Just write it somewhere. It should be, everything should be in your mind, that okay, this university have this date to apply for and I must
Actually,
apply
you
before
should
that.
have an Excel sheet.
Yeah, I too had an Excel sheet where I maintain. I had an Excel sheet for USA, I had an Excel sheet for Canada, and another sheet for Australia, in which I mentioned all the universities, and then I wrote everything about particular university, that this is the deadline, this is the TOEFL minimum requirement, GRE minimum requirement. Okay, so this is the alumni there. This is the website link. Everything you have to be very
Yeah,
very.
you should get done with all these things before like July or August,
Yeah,
basically.
you have to cut off, you have 50 to 60 universities in that Excel sheet. You have to cut off that, all those universities, and come to a final decision of 12 universities where you are getting funding, where you're also getting, your research background and everything. So you need time for that, and as soon as you start this thing, it will be really good for you.
And
Yes, Shivang.
then in Germany, I actually in European Union, you would be encountering deadlines from December to April mostly. Huh. And in Germany, I have seen that deadlines are quite late, and you might have the deadlines around May or June or July, maybe. Uh,
Yeah, but
so,
in my case, you have to prepare, but you have to be prepared before December.
yeah,
We
you
both
should be
are.
very well prepared beforehand.
Yeah, we have given our GRE and TOEFL, both of us have given my in before this, before November, and I've given my GRE in October. So also I suggest you to first give your GRE and then TOEFL, because it will help you scoring better in TOEFL.
Yeah, I guess we can move to the next slide.
Yeah. So the timeline for the process, we have told you approximately everything about the timeline, but still, if you can sum up. Shivang?
Yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yes, I'm here. So, as I said, that you should have a list of the universities, final universities that you will be applying to till August of the year that you want to apply, uh, and calculate the minimum TOEFL and GRE score that you required for your dream universities, and then you should appear for TOEFL around September. I suggest around Durga Puja would be good, because then you can take a leave from college and go to your home city and appear for
Yeah.
TOEFL. And as Darshil mentioned, that GRE takes at least 1 month of proper time, so you should start accordingly. Our deadlines start in November, so you should be
So before
well.
October, November, you have to be done with your TOEFL and GRE examination.
Yeah.
So start preparing. If you are
And
seeking for good university, start preparing from now.
then you should start writing your SOP. Uh, at least in the first week of October. Before that is so good, but this is the deadline for writing SOP. Actually, you
Yeah,
should get started by this time, and then complete a
because
draft
we have
in
told you that it
November.
takes 1 month, minimum 1 month.
Yeah, and then November to July, just apply and make separate folders for each university for documents, so that you don't mess up the SOPs of different universities. For example, you're applying in University of X, and you write in the SOP that I'm applying to University of Y, because you're applying to a lot of universities. It's a possibility that you will mess up the SOPs. So just keep separate folders for documents of different
Yeah,
universities.
because it
And
happens. It happens to many of the people. Yeah, and it is really embarrassing. So you
Yeah.
must consider.
However good you are, however good your application is, you will be straight rejected if you do this blunder. And start your application at least 2 weeks before the deadline, at least, and 3 weeks before the deadline if it is to be sent by post. Yeah, you have to send a post to some universities. For example, in Germany, I saw some universities which require the applications to be posted. So you have to also account for the time of
Yeah, you have to consider
of
at least 1 to 2 weeks
sending the
to
post.
posting there.
Yeah,
Yes.
so like you should at least give them 1 or 1.5 week to post this. So you should be posting your application 1 or 1.5 week before the actual deadline, right? And use Blue Dart or DHL. The prices are very high, of course, but they will ensure fast delivery. For example, my
Yeah.
application reached Geneva within 4 days, right?
And
So
I
it's
too got my
very
letter from uh, Alaska in within a week from DHL. So
okay.
it is
So
good.
I guess that's the deadline we should be following.
I
Then
can
next,
I, I
go
think
to
I
the
can
next
move
slide.
on. Next slide, I guess.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so this is like the most important, I guess, thing for you all, that how we get funding and everything. Most of the people ask me this thing, that how we get funding. So in my case, I'll tell you that I got funding through assistantship that I got uh, from the professor who is doing research there in University of Alaska Fairbanks. So I just mailed so many professors that this is my profile, and I really need to come into your research area and work under you. If you have any vacancy for research assistant, then I'll be very humble to work in it. It will be very humble from, it will be a great opportunity for me to work in it. So I got some replies, and you know some good positive replies from many professors. But finally, after seeing the research area and my interest, I decided to go for University of Alaska Fairbanks because of my research area interests. So I decided there. And other than this, scholarships will be better be explained by Shivang, I guess, because
yeah,
he got scholarship.
yeah. So you should while preparing the list of universities, you should actually look for which universities grant scholarships and where you have a good chance of getting the scholarships. Uh, so you can find all the information about the scholarships on the page of universities, and if you have any doubts regarding those, the admission committees of these universities are very good and very prompt in replying to queries. So you should really just name any of your doubts that you have. And like I got a scholarship from Weizmann Institute of Science, and I hadn't applied for TA ships, but I got the scholarship from Weizmann, so I'm going there. And last but not the least, you can also take an education loan, but really that's a big no-no,
Yeah, big no no.
because yeah, Rajiv Shekhar sir की आदत हो गई. So yeah, so like you shouldn't be applying for this, but if you really can't manage the funding, then you have to ultimately apply for an
you
education
can
loan.
you can We are telling you very
And
simply that you can get fully funded fully funded masters
uh,
if you really seek one. If you really want that, then you just go through scholarship platforms. Every university gives scholarship. I got scholarship from university, from the University of Australia also, but they are giving me scholarship 20 to 30%. But Shivang is getting 100% scholarship, and also they are paying him to live there. So it is really good. So these kind of scholarships are also there, I'm telling you this thing. And other than this, you can also work as an assistant there. Like me, I'll be working as assistant there, so they'll paying me as assistant. So it will, and they're also waiving me the whole tuition fee. For me also, it is like 100% scholarship, can be said 100% scholarship. But in my case, I have to work as a teaching assistant, as a research assistant or a teaching assistant. So these are the
Uh,
differences and the ways by which
I
you can
would
get funding. Yeah.
I would quickly add something that for getting an education loan, you will have to submit a collateral, so like to the bank, and if you can't repay your loan, they will just sell your collateral to get their money back. So it's very dangerous. You should keep
Yeah,
that in mind.
means we are afraid of it, but it is not like 90 to
Yeah,
95% of the people in India go through education loan. So it is also a
yeah.
simple process. If you can afford
So
that thing,
if
and if you really want to go from that from that way, you can go, no issue.
if
There are so
your
many
if your
CA guys who
chances
have
of
went
if
through
your
that.
chances of
Yeah.
getting employed at very high paid salaries uh, after the masters,
Yeah, you
if
can
your
surely go
chances are
through
good,
education
then
loan
you
also.
should definitely take an education loan. Then it's good. But like I am in theoretical physics, and we rarely get funded. So like for me, education loan is very dangerous because I might not be able to repay it. Just
Yeah, so I
keeping.
think you got the
Hmm.
thing. Yeah, you can approach professors. You can apply for scholarship. There are so many scholarship each university is giving. So you can easily get 100% funded masters if you really want one. So I guess we have covered everything here.
Yeah.
So now we'll be up for the questions from you guys. I think we have covered everything, but still, if we are left with something, then we'll be happy to answer your questions.
Yeah. So in
I
the
think we have
chat
opened the
box, I
chat
am
box.
seeing something.
Shivang, yeah, Shivang, just open the chat box. I think
Yeah.
there are some questions. You can just
Like how to take
turn
loan.
on your mics. We'll be very happy to interact with you guys.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, if anyone have doubts, you can unmute yourselves and you
Sir,
can
am I
ask the
audible, sir?
question.
Yep. You are.
Sir,
yeah,
my
yeah, yeah.
question was like, how to get a research internship in India or abroad? Like, and what are the requirements for it?
So there are no particular requirements, and there is just one requirement that you should be eager to learn. That's the only requirement. And what I suggest is, like you must be aware that there are a lot of official internships which fund you actually and which will connect you to professors. You can apply for those, or you can simply mail them. I mean, you can simply mail the professors. You can look at their profiles. You can look at their web pages. They almost all the professors who are interested in research will give a very detailed description of what they are doing and what is the future direction of their work on their web pages. So you can look at it, and if it interests you, you should really drop a mail to that professor. And in India, actually, most of the professors don't reply. I don't know if there is some ego issue or something, but they don't reply in most of the cases. But if you send your mails to foreign professors, they definitely reply. Even if they have to say no, they reply because
They'll
they
reply
care.
clearly no that they don't have any openings for interns or anything, but they'll reply. But it
And
must also understand that you must make your mail in a very good manner that makes them understand that okay, you have researched about them, that okay, you have seen their research area, and what suggestions you are giving to
you should
them
just
also
reflect
matters.
that you are eager to pursue research in that area and that you have done your homework about their research. Previous research experience in that area is not required, but your eagerness to learn about that research area
But
is
how you
required.
show this
And
Hello?
eagerness is by saying about them in your mail. That
అవును
I've seen,
చెప్పండి.
I've read about this project of yours,
ఆ,
and I'm really,
చెప్పండి.
it was really happy to see this project happening, and I really learned a lot from this project,
ఓకే.
and
మార్నింగ్
I really want
వచ్చారండి.
to work under
అప్పుడు
you because
లేవన్నారు.
it is a great work, and I'm
or
really
what you can
excited
do
about
is
that.
you can look
చెప్తాను.
at their publications and go
విజయవాడేనండి.
through them, and if some particular paper interests you, then you can also
ఓకే.
mention in the
చెప్తాను.
mail that I
I
read your
went through this,
ఆ,
XYZ
రాలేదు
paper.
yeah,
నాకు
it will be
మెసేజ్.
really good.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
రాలేదండి.
then there are very high chances that you will
Okay, okay.
get a reply,
Generally.
And for
at least.
Indian universities,
Okay, 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 okay.
you can just mail professors also. If they don't
Sure,
reply,
sure,
there are
sure.
also portals in all the websites in all the IITs that where you can apply for research intern. You know, there
Yeah.
are so many people who went in IIT Delhi. Shivang went in IIT Delhi. There are so many people who went in IIT Roorkee and Madras from ISM. So it is, people get internship by applying in India also. So,
And
so your
I'll
ego matters.
I'll like to quickly add two things that just don't consider IITs. For those of you who want to pursue basic sciences, you can also go to IISc, TIFR, and ICERS. I guess
Yeah,
ICER and TIFR also has computer science.
yeah. There are so
And
many people in our senior batch also who went for masters and PhD in ISC Bangalore. So it is the top institute which is above all the IITs. So you must consider that university also. It is really good in research.
yeah. And one more thing that I'll like to add is that don't write generic mails. Like you just write a generic mail and send it to 100 professors. Please don't do that. That is very unprofessional,
Yeah.
and I don't recommend that.
Yeah, because the person who is reading your mail you must have to understand that that person reads thousands of mail a day or hundreds at least. So you have to mention some things that you really are interested in. Okay, so just take time. I have seen
సాయినాథ్ వాళ్ళ మదరా
Shivang
అన్నారుగా
making mails for
సాయినాథ్ వాళ్ళ
10
మదరా
days.
అన్నారుగా
He just read their papers and mention everything that okay, this was written in your paper and your research group mentioned this thing, and I suggest you to work in these things, and I wish that I can work on this area. So these things really impress professors that okay, this person have learned something from my area, so I'll consider this application. So this is how you make up to make internship and impress a professor. I
And
guess
let's start a bit before.
Thank you, sir.
yeah, it sounds good. I guess any questions more now?
So what is the difference in three ranges after doing your bachelor's degree?
Sorry,
Sorry,
I'm not
Shivendra, your
able.
voice was not clear. Can you just repeat it?
So what is the difference in pay scale after doing your bachelor's degree?
Uh,
Shivendra, can you just type your question in the chat box? Your voice is breaking a bit, so we are not
I
able
guess
to.
he's asking about the difference in the pay scale of after doing a bachelor's and a master's.
okay. So
Actually, we are not the good people to
yeah, I
ask
can tell
these.
you this thing. I know why you are asking this thing. The thing is, the I don't know it is a good reality or bad reality, but the reality is that if you want to work again in India and you are going outside and thinking that okay, I'll come back in India and I'll work in India and I'll be paid more, then it is not like that. In India, you are paid for your experience in mining industry. I'm saying you. Okay, so but if you go there, do your masters, then the whole world gets open for you. Then you can work in any country and get experience there, and then you come to India, then you are quite valuable person in mining industry. But if you go there and take education for masters and you don't do any groundwork and then come to India and thinking that okay, my pay scale will be increased, it will not be happening like that. You have to have some good experience on ground. Yeah, मतलब माइंस तो घूमना ही पड़ेगा भैया.
And
ऐसा नहीं है कि सीधे बिना माइंस में मैनेजर बन जाओगे.
apart
माइंस.
from that, this is actually dependent on your field. So, uh, I suggest that you ask your seniors who are pursuing your higher studies in.
But obviously, if you do your masters and you work in other country, you are paid more than India. It is quite clear you are paid more, but it is not like that after masters only you will get a very high paid job in India. It is not like that.
I guess
I guess
Shivendra has some.
it was clear, Shivendra.
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, at our times, there were no student exchange programs since you asked in the chat box. So we
Yeah,
haven't
but
applied
I
for
know some
any.
people who from IIT Mandi and other IITs who have went through these exchange program, they're really good. If they are happening now in ISM, I tried a lot. So I asked a lot from department that are these things happening, because there are so many collaborations of ISM from other universities, but there is no exchange program when we were there, at least. So if they are happening now, it is really great. It is really good to just go in another university and study whole semester there and come back. It is really great experience. Really great experience. If you are getting it, and you must apply.
Can you guys stay for a bit? Like, if you have questions, we will be staying here.
Yeah, we'll
All
be
right.
here till end. We'll surely answer
Yeah.
each and
If
every
you
question.
have any questions, you can ask us even after 7:30. We are here in the meeting.
Yeah. So any other question that you people have from the slide or anything?
See, as I clarified before also, it really depends on your. Uh, so there is a question in the chat box that I'm answering by Devansh Raj.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So if you want to remain in academia and just pursue research only, then you should not worry about industrial experience actually. And at least that's how it goes for most of the fields. You should directly go for MS or a PhD, whichever suits you. But if your end goal is not to pursue academic research and you just want to get good jobs, then I guess you can get an industrial experience. And even if your job here in India after bachelor's is high paying, then you can gather enough funds for your MS too.
Yeah, so for making this question better, I will just clear this thing that by saying that, suppose I am applying for MS. Suppose there is another guy who is applying for MS who have 2 year experience in mining industry. So obviously that person will be more eligible if we have same research background till or bachelor's. Okay, so obviously if the another person have same research background as me, and then he have more 2 years of experience, then it will be beneficial for him. But other than that, I can get that master's seat easily. So it is not necessary, but it is better. It is
Enter.
really good. If you have some financial issues, you can go for
But I'll also suggest something that if you are going to go for industrial experience for 2 years and end up in academia, why not go for
Adugo.
research experience under some professor for 2 years?
yeah, this thing also happens. Means like what happens is, suppose at this point you don't have any recommendations or anything, any projects or anything. What happens is you contact professors, and the professor hire you for a year or 2 year project, and then you work under them, and then you get a recommendation letter and also projects to write in your CV, and then you apply for PhD or masters. Then then it is a really high probability that you get a funded masters or PhD. So this is how things works in India. I mean, this is also one scenario of Indian students. There are people who are working under some professors in IISc Bangalore, and then they'll be applying after 2 years. So this happens.
So there is another question from Sai Satyam. Uh, so can you tell me uh, whether you want to pursue PhD from India or from abroad?
No. Okay, I guess the first question is from Satvik Arya, that how you develop your interest in theoretical physics.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry, I missed that. So, theoretical physics is quite a bit challenging, and actually, I was interested in theoretical physics uh, from 11th and 12th, but actually, after coming to ISM, actually, they haven't contributed much to my understanding of physics. But I myself studied a lot of books, and then I tried to study quantum field theory. That's where my interest in theoretical physics started blooming, and then I further went on to study general theory of relativity and a little bit of particle physics too. and some group theory. So that's how I cultivated my interest in theoretical physics. So actually, in theoretical physics, what matters is how many theoretical tools you know. So, for example, all of your bachelor's course is like not even ABCD for those researchers. So, you should first of all try to develop a very solid theoretical foundation, and then you can pursue some research projects under professors. But first of all, you should try something a bit more on the experimental side, like phenomenological particle physics or something like that.
Yeah. So the next, I think that question's just Satvik Arya. Is it good? Sounds good.
Yeah,
Okay, great. So the next question is from this. It will be great if you people just open your mic and speak.
yeah, you can just talk to us. We have
Yeah,
no problem.
Sai Satyam wrote this thing that can be considered for this. He wrote that PhD can be considered for for
But I ask a question
company.
from you, Sai, that whether you want to pursue the PhD from India or are you
He
considering
wrote
PhD
that
from abroad?
in lower side PhD from abroad. PhD from abroad.
Okay. Yeah,
Uh,
if you pursue a PhD from abroad, then I know. Then if you look at the average stipends of some countries, then they are way too high, and they are
I'll
actually
give you my
equivalent to just doing a
yeah, I can.
software.
You are talking about PhD. I can tell you that masters also is a paying job. You can consider this thing as a paying job also. You know, the scholarship that Shivang is getting and the funding that I am getting will saving much. Will save me great. You know, it'll be good. I guess I'm right, Shivang.
Yeah, yeah.
We are really getting. I am getting. I for about 2,000 Australian US dollars. So and it is said that you'll be saving much of that, majority of that. So if you are saving that much amount, then it is like a job and you will surely be able to support your family or anything that you want. You can just roam there or chill out or anything. Do it there. So you'll save much money. You have much money in your hand while doing your masters also, while doing your PhD also.
Mm,
So I will say yes.
just to be a bit quantitative, I would mention that I looked at the average PhD stipends in Netherlands and the average expenses, and I calculated, and I found out that if you uh, live a not so lavish life, just an average life, then I guess you can save up to 8 to 10 lakhs in a year
Yeah, same in case of mine
from the
also.
PhD stipend.
In my masters also, if you are not living that lavish life or anything, you can easily manage about
But that's not the case if you
90,000.
pursue PhD from India. In
You're
India, the
not in
PhD
India. I'm not telling
stipends
about this.
are very, very
In
low.
US
They,
also, if you're not living that lavish life in masters or PhD, you can easily save 80, 90 to 1 lakh rupees a month. Easily.
Sir, once can you say me about the initial expenses? Means whenever I will be joining any program, I would be required a lump sum amount of money to get in there. So how
Yeah,
much
I,
that?
I understand your question. The initial is amount is of as we have mentioned in our slides also, of giving GRE, of giving TOEFL, of applying for every university. Each university takes about $100. You can take about 7 to 8 thousand rupees to apply for one universities. These examination TOEFL and GRE takes about 15,000 rupees for for giving these
Mhm.
examinations. Other fees are like visa fees and all other stuff. So these are the fees that you have to bear before going there. Other than this, I don't think there is any. Might they give you flight tickets also? In my case, I'm doing my flight tickets, but in many cases they do flight tickets also. So you can add on flight tickets onto that. But I don't think other than that there is any any spending that you have to do on your end.
Okay, sir.
Then there is the next question is from Arunal. Uh, and
Which
Yeah.
foreign university you will recommend for MS in astrophysics course or in computational astronomy?
So I am not much informed on computational astronomy, but for astrophysics, I guess there are a lot of universities. For example, one of my batchmates is going for an MS in astrophysics only from University of Cologne, and I can direct you to a lot more people who are much more informed on these two fields than me. And if you contact me personally, I can tell you much more about this, I
Yeah,
guess.
it will be great if you can just contact them.
I'll be
Either
leaving my contact number for
no
you
issue.
guys
Yeah.
in the chat. And
I guess I'll also share this thing. So this is my contact number. If you want to just ping me on WhatsApp first. Yes. Like I read text on Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, on LinkedIn also. So you can contact me.
I prefer if you contact me via mail or via WhatsApp.
Uh, yep.
And
So any other
what's the
question?
next question?
Is there any bond kind of legal agreement made between company and
No,
student
no,
during
there is one more question.
Satvik Arya? Uh, this is yeah. This is just one more question. No issue. You can ask many questions. Should I be expecting any
Uh,
support from the course curriculum, or I have to study more on my own?
uh,
Branch is
Satvik,
engineering physics.
I
Okay.
am asking you this question. Which course curriculum are you referring to? The course curriculum at ISM, right?
Yeah, he mentioned that.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so please don't rely on this course curriculum. Although the new curriculum is a bit less shitty than ours, but still it's shitty, and the people who are teaching it make it even more shittier. So please study on your own. And if you are passionate about it, I guess in physics you will encounter a lot of good books. Even I can direct you to many of them. Uh, So you ultimately will have to study on your own. Please don't rely on these
Thank
people.
you, sir. I expected this answer.
So Divansh Raj, is there any bond kind of legal agreement made between company and student during job? Individual must have to work with that company for few mutually agreed year. Yeah, this thing I don't know. I will clear this thing in all three scenarios. That suppose in my case, I was offered a job from Vedanta, and I was going for masters also. So till I got the job, I didn't had my offer in my hand. So as soon as I got my offer, then after 1 month, I got letter from my university that you are selected. So in this case, you can clearly, deny by saying the truth that you are selected in X university and you'll not be able to come to join the respective company, and you can inform this thing to CDC or to the company. Okay, so in the second case, second scenario, suppose you are working in some company and you are selected in some XYZ college and you want to go there. You can directly say the company, okay, I'm going there, and there is no bond in it, and there is no, nothing happening in between you and the company. If you go there, it is really fine, absolutely fine, no issue. Sometimes the best thing that happens is you are working in some university, some company, and then that company sponsor you to go there and study this course. So this thing also happens in many companies. But as because on my stage, I can't tell you more on this, but I know many seniors who went through this way, who went on this way also. So these are the three conditions, that these are three scenarios that happens in this question, I guess. Anything to add, Shivam?
Yeah, no, not really. theoretical physicists don't
But
get
right now, I
employed,
don't
so I
think there
don't
are
know
so many
anything about this.
companies. Yeah, there are so many companies in campus. They are making big bonds of like 1 or 2 years. So there is no issue. And if you want to break the
That's
bond
quite
also,
often.
then also you can just make some amount of money to break that bond. So no issue on that end also. Yep. Any other question?
Yeah. Any more questions?
We will be happy, guys, to interact with
Uh,
you all.
Sir, like you said that the knowledge of your physics was not much contributed by your like engineering physics course. So so I think that that should not much rely on what a person is pursuing right now, like what branch from he is, and he want to switch in masters to get physics degree. So can he do that? Like,
Yeah,
will it
yeah.
not be a
Surely you
drawback?
can.
Like he is from a different
Uh,
branch or something like that.
Let me tell you something. That in foreign universities they will only consider your skills. And if you say that you have studied quantum mechanics and you have studied electrodynamics at the undergraduate level, and all the requirements that they say, and I guess you can these days, I guess in the new curriculum, you can also take open electives some
Yeah,
physics
yeah,
courses,
yeah.
right?
That thing is happening. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah, so you should opt for those courses to just uh, make them confident on you that you can do it. But more than that, you should really prepare yourself for that. That is, taking courses is just an official thing, and you can do that. In fact, you should do that to convince the university of your knowledge in physics. But I would say that just prepare for it on your own. You have a lot of good books in physics that will teach you really uh, the concepts in a very good way, and I can direct you to those books. But you should do that. In fact, I know one person, Sagar Verma sir. So
Yeah,
he pursued actually कौन सी MINMAC I guess है ना, mining and machinery
yeah.
engineering.
He was in Minmac. He was my Manthan senior, and he did in bachelor's in masters, and then he pursued his masters in physics. So
In
this
theoretical physics to be specific from Utrecht
in
University.
theoretical physics is like rooms. It is like very different field than Minmac.
Yeah, but he got selected. Why? Because he had a project on string theory. He pursued it on his own, and yeah, that's all the universities actually care about.
So the
So
thing that happens is that matters is your skill, you know, and how much you want that thing. If you have
yeah,
worked in that area, then you'll get this. You'll
but
be
in some universities you will also get some problems due to the course requirements. Like some universities require you to complete two courses in quantum mechanics or two courses in electrodynamics or something like that. You might have to be a bit selective. Like universities will be a bit selective, but eventually you will, uh, if you are interested enough, you can find some universities to apply in for higher studies, which will be ready to drop this requirement for you.
yep.
Yeah, hi, sir. Shivang, sir. My question is again for you.
Hmm.
So it would be nice if you would tell how you prepared for your internship at IIT Delhi and how did you apply and what did you do there?
Uh, so mainly I worked in, actually I applied for that internship as a first year. And so, first of all, I read a bit about the professor, and I contacted some of his students, and they said that yeah, this professor is doing nice work. And actually, that was a new lab that was being set up, so they also had less people to work with them. So I had a chance there, so I applied. I mailed the professor, and he accepted me. I told him about my interest in physics, and I told him that I read about your work on terahertz physics and a bit nonlinear optics, and he got convinced, so he accepted me. And regarding what I worked on solitons.
So
And he have mentioned everything in his SOP. which helped him a lot in getting selected in respective universities. And
Yeah, thank you, sir. Just one more follow-up. Uh, did you have a sufficient knowledge of what you were going to work on during your internship
Nope,
period?
nope. And they actually don't demand you to have a sufficient knowledge. They just require to have sufficient curiosity, and they also require you to have the eagerness to learn. So that you can show by doing your homework about the research field. Like uh, you should be aware of the basic facts and the basic things that are going on in that field, and you should be familiar with the basic concepts that uh, are required in those fields, but you don't require much advanced knowledge for your first research internship. They understand that you don't have that much experience right now and you are just an undergrad, you are looking for experience. So professors will understand that. And I suggest that don't apply initially to very big professors. I suggest that by big professors, I mean uh, those people who are big in reputation, and you can just go to assistant professors. So assistant professors are very fresh people. They are just out of they have just gotten out of a few postdocs, and they have a lot of ideas that you can work on, and they will sometimes be able to personally guide you. So that will be much better for a fresher. And if you apply to a very big research group, then the professor will first of all look at your profile, and if he feels, he might not feel that you are good, and if he feels that he can guide you, then he will just direct you to some postdoc or some PhD, and you will be helping him. I prefer the other one as a fresher,
Thank
that
you,
you
sir.
apply to some assistant professor who can guide you personally. That's much better, in my opinion.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
yeah, any other clever question?
Yeah,
All questions are
many
clever.
others.
Any other one? It was great interacting with you guys. Any other question?
Okay, so if no one is asking, let me ask another one.
Yeah,
Yep, yep, yep. No issue.
So did you apply for IIT Delhi only, or other than that also, other IITs or other universities?
for internship.
Yep.
So no, I hadn't. That time I applied for only that, and luckily it was just luck. It was nothing else. Uh, so luckily I got accepted, and it might be that you apply for an internship as a first year and you might not get selected. So that's why I say that apply to assistant professors, or if you are in some field like theoretical physics or something, you can apply to even postdocs. They can also guide you very good.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
You have much better chances of getting accepted to such groups, the journey.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yep, great question.
Yeah,
Any other
you too.
guy?
Yeah,
Any
anyone else?
curious?
If any guys, if any other doubts you can ask, I'm gonna end the meet. If you have any doubts, you can ask.
Yeah, if you get doubts after ending this meet also, then also we are available for you guys.
Yeah,
So you just
we will be more
next.
than happy to answer your queries.
Yeah, it's really great people seeing going into research areas and representing ISM.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you, Shivang sir and Darshil sir. It was great interacting you, and it was
Great,
great
great guy.
knowing your valuable experience and your journey. We, the SME team, wishes you all the best for your future, sir. Thank you.
Oh, great. So
thank
can
you.
we leave
It's
now?
our pleasure.
Yes, sir. You can leave. You can leave.
Yes, sir. Thank you very
Guys,
much,
Thank you,
sir.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot, sir.
great time with you
Thanks a
guys.
lot.
Hope you all the wish you all the best. Wish you all the best in your journey. All the best.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for not falling asleep.
Bye guys. Good night.
Bye.